business. Dedicated to your devotion.
That was the issue with the prophecy of Jeremiah. Now, what he told them, when he wanted to compare, on one hand they knew that the temple was never destroyed, God saved them. That means they're on the horse. And what he told them? He told them why God is going to destroy the temple. Because you're not nice to each other. As we learn soon, God says, I don't need your sacrifices. Somebody comes, brings money to the temple. The rabbi tells him, we don't need your money, get out of here. We don't need it. God doesn't need it. What do you mean God doesn't need it? For 1,000 years we do it. Who are you to tell us such things? What he said was so against conventional wisdom that was impossible to even listen to.
Is this the first or second temple?
The first temple.
You said 1,000 years.
Okay. How long was since the Jews left Egypt until the end of the first temple?
Yeah, it's probably at least 500.
More than 500. It was 360 years in Shiloh. 369 years in Shiloh. Another 50 years or 70 years in between. There was another in Noven and Givon. 400. And then 400 years the first temple. Sure, it was 1,000 years. And then they left Egypt. And it was in Gilgal before Shiloh. Yeah, the 1,000 years is not until the second temple. It was until the first temple. Or 800 years, 880 years. I think it was 880, something like this. Yeah, it was close to 1,000 years. Yeah, absolutely. What he told them, he wanted to prove that the temple could be destroyed. You know what he told them? God says he'll destroy the temple just like he did in Shiloh. Oh, that rubbed the Jews on the wrong side. In Shiloh, the temple stood before they came to Jerusalem. The temple was in a few places. It was a few years in Gilgal. Then it was in Shiloh for 369 years. The walls were from stones, and the ceiling, the roof, was the same roof from the portable temple. It's a portable ceiling to make a statement that this is not the ultimate place. But 369 years is not a few days. How long is America? 300 years. Huh?
225.
225, shine even not long, no. 369 years. How many generations in the olden days that people didn't live so long? Now, first of all, when you tell the Jews, hey, your temple, like Shiloh. Or what they will say, what Shiloh? What are you comparing? This is the chosen place. Jerusalem is the ultimate chosen place. Built by King Solomon. Never be destroyed. Compare it to Shiloh, it was a house, it was a portable thing.
Permanent.
This is permanent, this is forever, it's not temporary. But it's interesting to note, is anywhere in the Bible written that the temple in Shiloh was destroyed? What's written about Shiloh?
They left it.
That they took out the ark, right? And the ark was confiscated by the Philistines. And a messenger arrived and told Eli, who was sitting by the door, he was 96. How old was Eli at that time? I forgot exactly the age. And they told Eli that the ark was confiscated, and he fell back and he died. That's the end of the story of Shiloh. You don't hear anything about Shiloh. It's actually not written anywhere that Shiloh was destroyed. From the Jeremiah, we learn that Shiloh was destroyed. But the truth is, really, it doesn't make a difference if Shiloh was destroyed or not. The moment the ark left, and God is not there, if you have the building or not, doesn't mean a thing. You understand what I'm saying? So you have a building. If the building does not house what it was exciting about this building, then who cares? It's destroyed anyway. If the building is broken or not, doesn't make any difference. If physically, the moment the temple walked out of the building itself is meaningless. That's why it doesn't make a difference if actually Shiloh was destroyed or not. If the ark was leaving them and the Jews never served God there, the building is destroyed actually. That's the contact of this chapter from Jeremiah, telling the Jews very bad news. It's because of you the temple is going to be destroyed.
I'm just curious, because, we're talking about the building, if it's been destroyed or not in Shiloh. Is that something that is physically around at all?
There is, we found the ruins in Shiloh, they found ruins, yes. Yeah, it's there. It's not, even the first temple, only the roof was broken. The walls of the first temple were intact. After the destruction of the second temple was different. But the first temple, they found, the Talmud tells us a story that they found a bottle of the red heifer, the water of the red heifer, hidden somewhere in the corners of the first temple building. When they came back the second time, 70 years later. Why? Because a big part of the building was intact. Like we have now the Western Wall. We had much more than that. The Babylons came, destroyed the building, they moved on. They made sure to destroy every stone. As long as they blew up the building, they moved on. But a big part of the building was intact after the first temple. That's what Jeremiah tells us. Not such good news, right? Then really there is a problem with this all Haftorah. Haftorahs, we know in general, the job of the Haftorahs is what? To comfort the Jewish people. That's the job of the Haftorahs. And therefore, most of the Haftorahs are positive stories, at least a little bit. This is like such a negative thing, then there is a part of the Haftorah that in Chabad we skip. We don't even say, because it's only negativity, and we don't want to say it. It might be right for Jeremiah to tell it to his people, but you don't have to skip it in the shul. What you want from us? I came to shul to be inspired. They start to yell at me. You're telling me, let me out. Your wife come home. Your wife asks you what they said in shul. Oh, we read about the Haftorah, about the destruction of Jerusalem, and how bad we are now.
It's your fault.
Then we read a part of it, which is not so bad. We skip and we finish. The finish of the Haftorah is from another book. It's from another chapter. I'm sorry, not 2 chapters further, from the chapter 9, a small piece, because we have a concept we learned that a while ago. We should complete in a good note. The Sayim B'Dover. Because of this, we finish with something positive. We don't finish with, oh, it's not good. Everything is not good. You finish it on a positive note. You always finish on a positive note, no matter what it is. And there is many books and many proofs of it from the Bible, from the Prophet, from the Talmud, everywhere. The concept of finishing on a positive note. The Rebbe was very big on this. Always finish, and he made a lot of discussion to prove in the Bible how important is it in different occasions to finish on a good note, especially when you read it in public.
Sounds like Jeremiah might have changed things a little differently if he were able to do that.
Jeremiah had to say the prophecy what he had to say on his time, but it doesn't mean that we choose pieces. You understand that we can choose something more positive. Now the Parsha of the week speaks about sacrifices, right? Offering sacrifice. That's all about sacrifice. Last week's Parsha, this week's Parsha. The Haftorah gives us a little different attitude.
Rabbi, did the prophets have the free will to take what God was putting through their mouths, if you will, and end it on a note that would be received a little differently? Did they have that ability to do that, or would they be punished for doing that?
Yes and no. After all, every prophet had his personality, his way of saying things. Elijah was, for example, an angry prophet. Yeah? He was like a more zealous. Other prophets were more soft. Then they were inspired. When they were saying prophecy, they really were not in control. It came out from them. It was like an outcry that goes out. It could be that they were in this moment, they were not even in control of what they're going to say. But obviously the personality came out, the language there. How he looks and thinks came out. What?
So was he prophesizing at that time, or had he already received it and now he processed and...
No. When he said it, I think it was... or when he said it, could be when he prophesied, he was no.
No, he could have been somewhere else.
He prophesied before and then he came when he said it, yeah.
Did you say that these...
But it's complicated. These things are not like...
Did you say the rabbis put these together?
Yeah, who chose the Haftorahs?
This is all the
the
prophet
rabbis.
though.
No,
This
they
is all the-
chose which pieces from the prophet they should be read
It's a
by which
selected-
week.
But these are
Selected
the,
readings.
this is the prophet.
Sure, it's a
not the
prophet.
rabbi.
It's only
The
selected.
rabbis choose what to say. I'll give you an example. If I take a book, I decide to make a book of anybody's words, and I choose what I want. It's not his book, it's my book. You understand? Some people make collections. The Rebbe made a collection of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, like a little book for every day, a statement. It's not the previous Rebbe's book. Yeah, it's his lines. But the Rebbe chose what to put and what. That the book is not, it reflects more the Rebbe than his father-in-law. You understand what I'm saying? You're taking a speaker who gives 1,000 speeches, and you choose whatever you want, and then you want to show that he's a racist or he was a this, and you put together all the 20 bad lines that he said. Look how terrible it is. It doesn't reflect him, it reflects you. When the rabbis choose which Haftorahs to recite, it reflects the rabbis' agendas more than the prophets. They took the good pieces from all the prophets. The prophets had a lot of negative stories. A lot. The Haftorah is the most positive parts that you find. The good stories are in the Haftorahs. The rest of it is not so exciting. Okay, now we'll start to read a little bit.
The God of hosts, Almighty God of Israel says, instead of making completely burnt offerings, add to your other sacrifices from which you are able to eat the meat, because the burnt offerings are not pleasing to Hashem in any case, so why lose the meat?
Whoa! Koi Omer Hashem. So says God. Basically, he says, I don't need your sacrifice. You know there is a burnt offering and there is a peace offering, right? Burnt offering, there is 3 types of offerings in general. There is burnt offering, there is a sin offering, and there is a peace offering. That's good to know in general. That's from the Parsha. Burnt offering is you offer the whole, you slaughter it, the animal, the Kohen slaughters it, and then they offer the whole animal. Whatever could go on the altar goes on the altar, is being burnt for God. You don't benefit, you don't eat any of the meat, nobody eats from the meat. Then there is a sin offering. Somebody made a mistake. He forgot something. He ate chometz on Pesach. Forgot. He brings a sacrifice. And then part of the sacrifice, part of the meat the Kohen eats, and the other part is burned on the altar. That's a sin offering. Then there is a peace offering. Peace offering is, for example, I want to say thank you to God. What do? I bring a sacrifice, part goes on the altar, part Kohen gets, and part I'm eating in Jerusalem. Peace offering. Everybody gets a piece. That's why it brings peace between God and the people. Now, first of all, before we get into it, I want to tell you something interesting. In today's world, what's a burnt offering? Every morning and every evening they used to, in the temple, offer an offering this or name of the whole Jewish people. It was a burnt offering. 1. Today it's like prayer. I'm praying to God. It's with me and God. Nobody benefits. Not the Kohen, not me. It's a prayer. That's the replacement of the burnt offering. That's actually the Talmud says, tefillot, the prayers are instead of korbanot, instead of offerings. What would be a sin offering today? I want to bring a sin offering. I made a mistake. I forgot. I ate on Yom Kippur. What should I do?
Charity.
Charity is instead of is atonement. What is charity like a sin offering? Sin offering, the Kohen it gets a piece, and God gets a piece. I get nothing. Charity, by giving money to somebody else or to another institution, the institution gets a piece, and God enjoys that you give to the institution, like a sin offering. But I don't get anything. At best, I get a receipt.
Tax deduction.
That's the good day. Now, what is a peace offering? I want to say thank you to God. What's today? We want to say thank you to God.
A Kiddush?
Today is like a celebration or a Kiddush. It's called a Seudat Todah, a Thanksgiving celebration. God gets the idea that you give it to share with others. that God enjoys that you share it with others, and you have, and everybody has. Everybody is happy. Everybody gets a piece. Here the prophet tells them, why should you bring burnt offerings? What a waste. God doesn't want it anyway. At least eat it. It's the biggest insult you can give somebody. What a waste. At least enjoy it. Enjoy the meat. You think you're bringing me a favor? Doing me a favor? You're bringing me? I don't need it. Thanks, but no thanks. That's what the prophet is saying.
You're being sarcastic.
A little bit, yes. Yes.
But didn't Hashem somewhere say, I really don't want this stuff, I want you to be this way? But-
Wait a second. We are getting there. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
okay, sorry.
For I did not speak to your ancestors and command them about the burnt offerings and other sacrifices when I took them out of the land of Egypt. So this is clearly not the main reason why I took them out. And that's a fascinating statement.
Whoa. I did not speak to you about offering sacrifices. Really? Isn't the book of Leviticus about sacrifices? Now you can imagine the Jews come to Jerusalem with the sacrifices. Stands a guy and says, God never asked you to take the sacrifice. Look at him like he fell off on the moon. What does this mean? First of all, what Jeremiah says, I did not ask you I did not command you to offer sacrifices.
Isn't he saying that up until Sinai, he never
See,
commanded
when I took them out of the
sacrifices?
land of Egypt.
On the day, right? Look at good what's written there. For I did not speak to your ancestors and command them about the burnt offering and sacrifices when I took them out. It's not when I took, Beyom Motzi, Beyom, on the day I took them out from Egypt. What does this mean?
He just told them to go.
He told them on the day, first of all, the day he took them out from Egypt, he told them. He told them about the Passover lamb.
That's almost like a sacrifice.
No, sure. It's not a sacrifice, but it's close.
It's close, it's like a peace offering in a sense.
What it means to say, what I told them, I didn't tell you to make sacrifices, to offer animals. I wanted you to listen to me. And then the sacrifice have a meaning. But I didn't, the job was not the sacrifices. That's what but there is some commentators go even further. When God took us out from Egypt, what he told us before, basically when he told us before Mount Sinai, going out from Egypt was meant literally the day, it means the Exodus. What he told us to be. He told us to offer sacrifices.
He told us to be holy.
He told us to be holy.
Yeah.
A kingdom of priests. Atem tiuli lehom, should be a nation. Estem nisgolo, should be a kingdom of priests. He didn't talk about sacrifices. Never told them to offer sacrifices. More than that. When you look in the Ten Commandments, is anything about sacrifices? Not a word. Even you go further, there is after Ten Commandments, there's one thing that if you make an altar for me, to make it from earth. Also does mention sacrifices.
Enough stuff.
What else do you do on the altar then?
Really? What
Is there an incense altar?
What Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did at the altars?
They make sacrifices too?
No.
Really? What he did?
Probably incense.
But there are the instructions in the temples of all the sacrifices.
Right, the instruction that we were talking before that. On page 475, if you don't mind to look. He actually speaks about sacrifices here, as you'll see. The bottom line, the last line, you should not make for yourself. Look at next page. I'm sorry, 477. You want to read? Top of the page.
You shall make, you shall make for me an altar attached to the earth, alternatively filled with earth, and you shall slaughter near it your burnt offerings and your peace offerings, which came from your sheep and your cattle.
Continue.
Wherever I allow my name to be mentioned, i.e. only in the holy temple by the priests, I will come to you and bless you.
Okay, that this is written after the Ten Commandments. That first of all, the Ten Commandments, that's not written about sacrifices. Next, that's written here, one line. Then you go to the next page. It's all about Parshat Mishpatim. In Parshat Mishpatim, is all the laws between man and man, of being a mensch, if you want, right? That's laws of assault and kidnapping, and laws of negligence and theft, and laws of goes on and on and on, and laws of the four guardians, and illicit adulterous behavior. It's helping the unfortunate, in respecting the leaders, and all of this about Judaic law, Shabbos and Yom Tov, not a word about sacrifices. And only then comes the story about building a temple. Now, the order in Torah is very important. The way the order of things tell you what's more important, what's less important. What's more important, what was very important to God was written first. What's less important is written later. That he says, when I took you out from Egypt, that was not the goal. I didn't talk about it. That was not a big deal. More than that, if you read the line he says, when we just read before, a minute ago he said, if you make for me an altar, if, you don't have to. More than that, all the book of Leviticus is written to the community have an obligation to offer sacrifices. The individual, if he sins, he has to offer a sacrifice. If he doesn't sin, doesn't have to offer a sacrifice. You understand? You can be a good Jew and never bring a sacrifice.
It's a practical matter, even the righteous sin, though, according to Ecclesiastes.
What I mean to say is, you can live your whole life and never offer a sacrifice. That's okay. You're not obligated. Yeah. If you don't live in Jerusalem,
This
for
is a
example.
command. This says, you shall make for me an altar attached to the earth.
Yeah, but in Hebrew it's written, "Im mizbeach adom otase li."
I'm sorry.
1 second, I'll show you something. Let's see how.
477.
477. I know that Rashi says "im" is not an optional
You
thing,
have the advantage of language.
but I know. It comes to good use.
21.
No,
Attached to the
it's not written "im." "Im mizbech avonim." No, it's not written mizbech. It's written number 22. It's written "when you make me," if you make me an altar. No, it's not written in Mizbech Avonim. I'm sorry, Mizbech Adoma. You're right, it's written, you shall make me an altar, not if.
That's a command.
Yes. A command.
Well,
When
I
you
mean, I
make
can't
me-
translate it.
When you make me an altar, you should make it attached to the land. Yeah, you're right, it's a command. Let's see how to translate it in Aramaic. Yeah. But the next one is about if. Number 22, it says, when you make me a
Well, I think
altar.
he's saying, you shall make me, and
You're right, not
then
if.
when you make me.
Yes.
So you're
Yes,
going to
yes.
make one, and then when you make it.
You're right, it's not written if. I thought it was written if.
So you
It's
were
not written
saying-
if. No, it's not
You're
written
saying the time frame, because this came before
if. After Mount Sinai.
the burnt offerings. Who's doing burnt offerings here?
Nobody's doing burnt offering at this point.
But it's written here.
It's written. But the Ten Commandments are written first. The laws of Mishpatim are written first, and only then he's speaking about the altar, the building a temple and building an altar. And only then in Leviticus it's written about the sacrifices. That what is really the prophet is saying, that's not the main thing. That's what he says. Offering a sacrifice is nice if this brings you closer to God. See, the word sacrifice in English and in Hebrew has a different meaning. Sacrifice means to sacrifice something, to give away something. How's the word in Hebrew? For korban.
Connection, yeah.
Karov. What's karov means?
Come close.
Close. Getting closer. It's about getting closer. God doesn't need a sacrifice. God wants you, not a sacrifice. A person has to, the sacrifice is a tool to remind them to get closer to God. But if the tool doesn't work, then we don't need the sacrifices. Then the sacrifice makes you even more nervous. If you bring to your wife flowers, but you, at the same time, you show that you don't care for her, she doesn't, the flowers, not only, they're an insult.
But if we're saying that prayer is the substitute for sacrifice, and sacrifice,
For
the
the
most part
burnt
wasn't-
offering. That's it. For burnt offerings.
okay.
Yeah.
But,
So-
that It wasn't.
What is prayers?
Prayer
Is about getting closer.
close.
Exactly.
But you said that the sacrifices, for the most part, weren't, you could be a good Jew, never do a sacrifice.
In
Yeah,
essence, if you want to take it further, in essence, prayers is not an obligation 3 times a day, biblically. The biblical obligation for prayers is biblically, don't take it all. Nobody will shop in shul. Biblically is the obligation, Shema is learning Torah, it's not prayers. Prayers is when I'm in need, I should turn to God and not to anybody else. Only when I'm in need. And I'm sitting in the games, yeah?
And you know, when the sacrifices, the burnt offerings are associated with the temple itself. Okay, so when the temple is destroyed, the first and then the second one, the people have to know that they can survive, that they can atone without sacrifice.
Absolutely.
This is like, as you said, prayer takes the place, but it also reassures the people, from the
Because-
rabbis on, that they can survive without a temple.
Because it's not about the sacrifice, it's about your connection. It's about your atonement, you're getting closer, absolutely. Yes. Then that's what that's what Jeremiah is telling them. Not that sacrifices with the right intention is not a bad idea. But if you think that sacrifice, you pay off the temple instead of being mentioned, that's not going to fly. That's what he really tells them. Number 23.
Rather, this is what I commanded them, saying, Listen to my voice and obey me. I will be your God, and you will be my people. Follow the path I commanded you, so things will go well with you.
Va'isi lochem lelekim, I will be your God and you will be my people. That's written in the end of in the Chukoisai, right? In the end of Vayikra,
Chapter 26.
chapter 26, probably right. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you, but probably right. Va'isi lochem, yeah. In the beginning, they're the same words exactly. Atem tiu li leom. Yeah, open on page 829, the same word, exactly. This verse, this sentence. Number 12. Go ahead.
When you go to heaven,
That's parentheses, continue.
I will stroll among you,
Okay.
and you will feel comfortable with me,
Okay.
but I will still be your God,
I will be your God,
whom you fear, and you will be my people.
then if you skip the parentheses, I will be your God and you will be my people. If you look in Hebrew, it's the same exact word that Jeremiah is using. Va'iti lachem lelokim va'atem tiyu li le'am. Says, that's what I told you when you left Egypt. You should be my people, and I'll be your God. I'll be your God, you'll be my people. Sacrifices, I need that. I need you.
So what does this say about when sacrifices started? I mean, there's the whole view that Rashi had and Maimonides had that sacrifices were basically a reaction to the golden calf and to idolatry. Does
First
that
of all,
support that? Or?
a little bit, but not really. I mean, yes and no. But it was sacrifices. It's written that by Mount Sinai, there was some sacrifices. There was sprinkling blood and there was a little blood there going on at Mount Sinai. In the end of Parshat Mishpatim, it's written that they were offering sacrifices. There is it. On page, I'm sorry for driving you crazy, page 545. That's the continuation. See, 505, the Jewish people entered into the covenant with God, and in parentheses it says, the following was said by God on the 4th of Sivan before the giving of the Torah, right? And what is written in number 5? Dr. Kosov? Number 5.
Last paragraph.
Oh, it's in the middle of the last paragraph.
Okay. He sent the firstborn of the children of Israel, and they offered up burnt offerings, and they slaughtered bulls as peace offerings to God.
That was, you see? That was offerings. then you cannot say it only started after the golden calf. And that was right before Mount Sinai.
Was it largely a reaction to the golden calf?
Not necessarily the golden calf. The concept of at that time, there were sacrifices, was a very normal thing. That's why God redirected it to God instead of to others. But if it doesn't bring you closer to me, I don't need it. God doesn't need meat. He doesn't need the meat. He says, as long as it brings you closer, fine. If it doesn't bring you closer, good Shabbos. I don't need it. We'll find other ways. The forefathers used to build altars anywhere, and when the idol worship start to do it, God says, I don't want it. The same thing, the moment it becomes something, a turn off to God, then we don't need it.
What does it mean when you do the prayers about this as a pleasing fragrance to God, or to God?
Very good. It's written about the sacrifices, Reach Nichoch LaHashem. It's a good aroma to God. What does this mean? Good aroma to God.
God's pleased that people are doing His will.
Oh, but Rashi says God is pleased that people are doing His will. Why is God not pleased that people put on film? Why we don't say that about this? Why we only say it about sacrifices? About eating matzah?
Good question.
About what was your question?
Why it's not about putting on film? Reach Nichoch LaHashem. An aroma to God. If the why is He pleased? Because He's doing His will. He do His will in many other ways. Because this is completely a sacrifice. A sacrifice is not about you. It's about giving it to God. Let's say a burnt offering. It's something that's completely for God. You do it only for God. There is nothing there for me, so to speak. That's why God brings a special aroma to God, so to speak. But when the sacrifice is becoming something that covers up on your bad behavior, we don't need it. It's not an aroma for God anymore.
How can there be? Isn't the whole idea of a sin sacrifice, though, to cover up for or atone for something you did wrong?
Atone, not cover up.
Well, kapor means cover, right?
No, kapor, lechasot. Very interesting. Well, that's the bottom line is it's not working like this. First, you have to atone. Then you bring us the sacrifice. You know what the sacrifice is? I'll tell you. Somebody had a fight with his friend, who he trusts very much. He comes, he asks forgiveness and this, it's all. He apologizes 1,000 times. Then he wants to rekindle the relationship that was before. He brings a present. But the present is not instead of apologizing. I'm not going to apologize. Here's a golden drink, but I'm not apologizing. I was right. I will throw you out of the house. You first apologize 10 times. Then you bring the present. The same thing is the sacrifice is after the apologizing, after asking for forgiveness, after most importantly, after changing my ways.
Is it the icing?
If I don't change my ways, then what's one? It's an insult.
So when it says that the sacrifices expiate or atone for sin, is it the icing on the cake? Then
Yes, absolutely. It's after everything. It's just a process. It helps you to do tshuva because it's something physical. You can relate to it. You are physical people, but it's not instead. Absolutely not.
So there's no substitutionary concept here.
The substitution is for you, so to speak. I really had to be sacrificed. The person had to die or pay a price. The animal pays your price, so to speak. And it's the purpose is to wake you up to repent, to change your ways. What's repenting? What is tshuva? Tshuva is not saying, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah.
Return to God.
And then I go do the same thing again tomorrow.
Change your behavior.
Return to God.
If I don't change my behavior, God says next time, don't even come to me. Don't bother. It's all about changing my behavior. Later, I can bring a sacrifice. But if I don't change my behavior,
Right, Rabbi, is that the concept of the pleasantness of the smell to God? Wasn't there one of the prophets that could tell who the good people were, who the bad people were by smelling? That they could smell the good ones.
spoke about it last week.
Yeah,
It's a different smell, a different aroma, different
not
business.
even the same concept.
It's a different concept.
Thank you.
You can't judge my smells metaphorically in that sense.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. Maybe I can smell. It's a different smell. Okay, we are in number 24, I think, right? Yes. Let's go back to the Haftorah, page 1426, number 24. Reb Jaffe?
But they did not listen or pay attention. Rather, they acted upon their own desires, whatever their evil hearts saw fit. Every day they went backwards, not forwards, in their divine service.
They went backwards and not forward. From the literal sense, they went backwards. More than that, there is many times, I think the prophet says it too, Ponu elai oiref velo panim. They turned the back to me and not the front. You know, a couple can be very close and be very far, and they turn the back to each other. Or friends. Take it. God says, you turn your back to me. What do you bring me sacrifice? You turn your back to me. I'm going this direction, you're going this direction. That's what he's saying. Now he says in number 25.
From the day your ancestors left the land of Egypt to this day, I sent them all my servants, the prophets. Every day I would prepare early and send. But they did not listen to me or pay attention. They stiffened their necks and acted worse than their ancestors.
Okay, here it says, since the Jews left Egypt, I sent you prophets, one after the other. Not one time. Yom Hashkem Shelo, every day another prophet, another to remind you, and you didn't listen to them. You didn't listen to me. You didn't listen to the prophets, and you became stiff-necked. That's we know from there too. Stiff-necked people, right? You remember that from the Bible.
The concept of Hashem preparing says, I would prepare early and send, meaning he's sending the prophets. The concept of Hashem having to prepare anything sounds amazing.
Why? You know, if a prophet cannot be when the day is born. You have to give him birth, and then when he's at least 10 years old or 15 years old, he becomes a prophet. That you have to prepare him. Sure, preparation
He's
is...
preparing the prophet.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, we'll continue. Number 27, you want to continue?
You, Jeremiah, will speak all these words to them, but they will not listen to you. When you call out to them, they will not answer you.
He already tells them in advance. Before this beginning of before the chapter in the middle there, it says, God says to them, don't pray for them. I will not accept the prayers. That's how sharp it is. Because the job of the prophet is to pray for the people. And God tells them, don't pray for them. Sounds a little bit like
Pharaoh.
no.
Doesn't make any sense.
No.
Where was God says? It's a little bit like
Noah?
a little bit like at Mount Sinai, at the Golden Calf. God tells Moses, "Allow me, and I'll destroy them."
I'm done with it.
But
Open
allow
the door,
me.
open the door.
Open the door. Here also, when Hashem tells them, "Don't pray to them. Don't pray for them. I will not listen." Obviously, he could pray. Understand why he has to tell them that? Means that his prayers will make a difference. Number 28.
Then you will say to them, it is as if this is a nation which did not hear the voice of God. Your Almighty God at Mount Sinai, and as if it never learned a lesson. Faith in God is lost from their hearts, cut off from their mouths.
Okay, let's stop right here. Faith of God, of the emunah, the lost faith in God is lost, cut off from the mouth. They don't have it in the heart, they don't have it even in their mouth. What's more important? To have it in your mouth or have it in your heart?
Right.
No. It wouldn't be the way the order of things should be. They cut it off in the mouth and they don't even have it in the heart. Because many people believe we're not ready to say it, right? It should be the order. They are so bad, they lost it, they stopped talking about it, and they even stopped believing in it. That Chassidus says another explanation to it. Why they lost it in the heart? Because they stopped speaking about it. When you stop speaking about something, you will lose it. Of the emunah, why they lost their faith in God? Because nicheso mipiem, they stop talking about it. Because when you stop talking about something, after a while, people, no, nobody ever talked about it. Nobody ever mentioned it. Talking about something is awakening it. For example, see, words are deeper than the words of the person touch a deeper site in his soul than his thoughts. He thinks about something, he believes, he thinks it's good enough. First of all, his children will not know what he thinks. It's number one. Forget about the children. Look, something very interesting. You start to talk about your children. You get emotional. What happened? You were thinking all day about them, you didn't cry. You start talking about it and you get, what happened?
The heart.
That means the word have a deeper, touch you deeper than your thoughts. Talking about it, as you start to talk about it, suddenly you get choked up. Things that you cannot get over a week, a month, you will not you think about them all the time, but then will never. It means talking about something is awakening. That's why in Judaism, the mitzvahs of words have to be recited. Prayers supposed to be recited, not look to the eyes. I give people siddur, he looks at me. Mm-hmm. Not to me, say it, you.
And why do we do the Amida silently?
But we say it,
I mean, to ourselves.
we recite it. Silent is not to bother anybody else, it should be between you and God. But we have to say it.
It stimulates your thought more by saying, just like writing it is even more of a stimulant than
Then talk.
saying it.
No, I'm not so sure about it. It could be. We can argue this, but maybe. But the point, for example, confession in the Bible, confessing over the animal, confession on your Rosh Hashanah Kippur. The mitzvah of confession is when you say it, because when you, in your thought, you think you did a sin, you don't really feel you did it until you don't say it with your mouth. I stole money. You don't believe you did it. Only when it comes out from your mouth, you suddenly realize how dangerous it is. What happened? That's what he says. They did because they stopped talking about it. Of the imuno nicheso
You write it
mipiem.
down, you see it.
Huh?
Like he said, if you write it down, the words, you
It's true
actually
too.
see it.
More than that, when you give a speech about something, anybody who has to, as you talk about it, suddenly come up new ideas that you didn't think about it before.
Right.
What happened? Because you're touching a deeper side of you than when you're thinking about it. There are new ideas that come up to you that only will come up when while you speak about it. You never thought about it. You were thinking about it 2 times, 10 times. You heard it, still didn't come to you. When you speak about it, then it wakes up in you.
It's active versus passive.
You're right. But in Kabbalah and in Hasidus it says that the power of speech is deeper connected to the soul than the power even of thought to a point. It's awakening a deeper level.
That's why Broadway plays like Fiddler on the Roof, they're so powerful. They put words to it, and the words keep evolve to each of us differently, and they changed it.
Words are very important. You're right.
Where it never stop talking about the Holocaust. I mean,
Then this part of the Haftorah, that's what we say in Chabad. The rest of it is really negative. We don't say such things. I mean, it's good for the kings. I mean, Jeremiah had to say it, but we don't have to get depressed because of this. But what we do, then we skip. We skip to the bottom of the page. Then on page 1427, you see all communities conclude here. If you look in top of the page, Chabad communities omit the following and continue below. We skip this and we continue right here in the bottom from chapter 9.
This makes this one of the shortest Haftorahs.
One of the shortest. There is some like this, but yeah, one of the shortest. You're right. But by the way, it's interesting to say, in the Parsha, it speaks about sacrifices. Comes the Haftorah and says, forget about sacrifices. I want you, not your sacrifices. Because really the Haftorah is created after the destruction of the temple. That really there is a comforting sense here. The Jew sits in shul and he reads about sacrifices and he thinks himself, there is no temple, there is no nothing.
Bad stuff happened.
No nothing. We miss out. Comes the Haftorah and tells him, don't worry, Hashem doesn't need sacrifices, Hashem wants your heart. Rachmon el libe boy, God wants your heart. He wants your intention. He doesn't care for your sacrifice. Don't worry about it. That's the comforting side about it. More than that, it's written usually many times, Parshat Tzav is written before, like this year, it's before Pesach. It speaks about what God commanded them when they came out from Egypt. That's a connection to Pesach too. Then we go to chapter 9. We take 2 verses from chapter 9, that's the bottom of it. Go ahead.
God says, the wise man should not praise himself because of his wisdom, the strong man because of his strength, nor the rich man because of his money, for it would not save or benefit any of them. Rather, if a person wishes to praise himself, let it be with this, through understanding and knowing me, that I am God and there is none besides me, that I am the one who acts kindly to those who keep my mitzvot, justly to punish the wicked, and righteously on earth to accept penitents and wipe away their due punishments. For I desire to do all these things to give people what they deserve, says God.
Wow, this is amazing. That first of all, God tells us the Chochem should not be proud of his Chochmah. Oh, he's a smart man. He's a mensch. The powerful person should not think that his strength is everything. Should be the rich. The rich. Always bigger than me. I have a lot of money. And what should you be praising? What should you be praising about? Praise yourself. Let it be this, to understanding and knowing me. Ask Yodorisi. Where is who says it? Who says that this is the ultimate? Maimonides. Maimonides is talking about Moshiach. What is he saying? What will be when Moshiach will come?
Knowledge of God will cover the world.
Yeah, and he says, Maimonides says like this, and when Moshiach will come, that the whole business of people will not be busy with physical things. They will be busy with Ladas as Hashem Bilvad. They will with the knowledge of God. People will be busy with knowing God, as we learned last week in the Haftorah. And he says the same thing here. If you know God, what means to know God? He spoke so many times about that. It's not to believe in God, it's to get to know God. To make God like he's your friend. How many people you really know? Very few. I mentioned that many times. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, there's a story of Yochanan ben Zakkai was the leader of the Jewish people in the time of the destruction of the Second Temple. When he died, he was 120 years old. All his disciples stood around his bed. If he was 120, how old were the disciples, you think? 97 and a half, you know what I mean? Long white beard. Told them, Rebbe, tell us something meaningful before you go. Now is the time, now or never. He tells them, I wish you should fear God as much as you fear people. You are a little insulted. That's what you tell us, like we old rabbis, that's what you tell us. And he continued, he says, a person says, when he's doing something wrong, he makes sure nobody sees him. What was he saying to them? He was talking to little children. You should fear God as much as you fear another person. What was laying behind this word? He wanted to say is, you should feel God is in the room like another person. When another person is in the room, we behave differently. We don't pick our nose, we don't do things that are not appropriate, simple. When you sit by a table with other people, you eat like a man. You use your fork. Nobody says, who knows how you behave? And you say, nobody cares. I mean myself. It means, what Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, I want you to have an awareness of God as much as another person. What is to know God? To know God is to get to an experience. Life teaches you that things work out. That you have a relationship with God. The stronger the relationship with God you have, the more you have a connect, the more you get to know Him. I mentioned the story that once somebody told the praise of Rebbe, I knew your father. He told them, you know my father, you saw my father, you know my father. It's one thing to see somebody, to recognize him. It's another thing to know him. Every 10 years your wife tells you, now I really know you are. And it's not in a positive sense. Another 10 years she said, now I really know you are. Then I remember once I was speaking about reincarnation, a woman told her husband, said, I know which animal you were reincarnated of. He was speaking that people could be reincarnated into animals. She took it down. She said, I know from which animal you are coming. Then, what he says here, he doesn't say that it shouldn't be rich. Wisdom, strength, and richness is something that God gave us. It's not a bad thing. As long as it's coming from the knowledge of God, it means to say, I understand it's not me. God gave it to me. It's not to make my ego bigger. We say a similar thing. We say in the Eshet Chayil. The Eshet Chayil is the prayer we say every Friday night before Kiddush. We say what do you say, the famous line?
Woman is not, beauty is not.
Yeah, what is the words? Beauty is not. Sheker achen ve'eved layofi.
Woman, just to be.
Only a God-fearing woman should be cherished. Beauty is not. Really. God created it. There is many laws in Jewish law about that women are not obligated to do certain things just because they should be beautiful. Beauty is not something that's against God. If the point is, beauty in itself is not good. If we idolize it. But beauty it's being used for a God-fearing person, that's a good thing. It's nothing wrong with it. Same thing is here. You can be proud of your money, of your strength, and of your wisdom. If it's not your pride, it's not for your ego. It's to bring God. It's to glorify godliness in the world.